Hi guys, Michael Abaimi here. Today, I'm going to be talking about the current state of video game adaptations. Video game movies have traditionally gotten a bad rap ever since they became a thing after the video game boom from the 1980s. We've had adaptations like the original Super Mario Bros., Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and these movies were considered to be very bad. The storytelling, everything about the production was just not on par with what fans of the various properties expected. So video game movies have always had this stigma held over them, and even the ones that managed to find some level of success, like the ones in the Resident Evil series, those ones haven't been particularly well received by the core fans of the games themselves. This is mainly because they've deviated heavily from the stories in the games, which you can't really blame them, because those games, sometimes the stories border on the edge of being nonsensical. Like you have things like giant snakes and spiders, and the original Resident Evil itself kind of served as a homage or a play on cheesy B-horror movies and all that. So to adapt that into a straight-up video game movie wouldn't have really stood the quality test either. In any case, fans haven't been particularly happy, even though those movies found some level of success, which is why we got quite a number of them. But recently, we've actually been getting a number of great video game adaptations. Like we had Detective Pikachu in 2019, which, while it wasn't a straight-up Pokemon movie like most Pokemon fans would have wanted, still showed that you could do something great within the IP, because Pokemon till today is the biggest IP, like biggest video game IP of all time. And it was good to see that we could actually get a quality movie that was relatively well received and also made some good money at the end of the day. And after that, we also got Sonic the Hedgehog and its sequel, which both movies were also great. Like they weren't like mind-blowing or anything, but you could still tell that a lot of love and care went into those movies, which is funny because when we remember when Sonic was first reviewed, the reactions for the initial designs of Sonic were not particularly good. So it was nice to see that they were able to take the feedback and redesign the character. And at the end of the day, they had a very successful movie and a sequel as well, with a third one currently in the works, as well as a planned TV show. So Sonic will be a very good example as well. Arcane is another great example of a well-made video game adaptation, which, if you remember, I had crowned it my favorite TV show for 2021. Everything about the show was just leagues above everything else that year. It's based on the League of Legends IP. Anybody that is into video games at least has a passing knowledge of what League of Legends is. So even though I'm not into MOBAs and all that, I was still happy to dive into the show after hearing that it had been getting very good reviews and all that, and the show definitely didn't disappoint. The first thing that struck me was the breathtaking art style, which was hand-drawn and still had this like 3D depth to it. So it was very breathtaking to look at, and on top of all that, it had a very well-told story with fully developed characters. So Arcane was easily a home run. Arcane is easily one of the better adaptations we've gotten as well. Last year we had Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and while I'm not really the biggest fan of anime, I have to say that I had to give props to the production behind this particular one. It really brought the city of Night City to life, and it showed us like some aspects of the video games that were only alluded to or were not particularly fleshed out. The whole process of cyber psychosis and the way everything was depicted, like it was lovely. And while I loved the game, the overall reception was kind of mixed, which was due to the poor state the game had launched in. And over the years, CD Projekt Red have been working to fix it. And it was nice to see that all their efforts appear to be finally paying off, because the success of the show even managed to revitalize sales for the games. But more recently, we've gotten the eagerly anticipated The Last of Us on HBO Max. And I have to say that this is already shaping up to be quite possibly the greatest video game adaptation of all time. The Last of Us, the game, was already quite renowned for the quality of the storytelling, and the series so far appears to be a very faithful adaptation. But at the same time, they found creative ways to flesh out the world, creative ways to like show us other sides of these characters, and it's shaping up to be one of the best, if not the best, video game adaptations we've ever gotten. And I guess it should be expected when you look at the pedigree of the filmmakers behind it. We have someone like Craig Mazin, who had worked on Chernobyl, which was another stellar HBO Limited series. So it shouldn't really come as a surprise that the quality on display is this good. So my hope is that they'll be able to keep this quality up to the end and to serve as another home run for video game adaptations. But right now, as we're heading further into 2023, one of the movies that everybody has their eyes on is the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And this is despite all the initial controversy when the voice cast was first revealed and everybody found out that Chris Pratt will be voicing Mario. And while I would say I've not been convinced by what I've heard from the trailers, Everything else about the movie looks fantastic, like the animation, the art style, and just even the bits of the story we've gotten. It looks like it's going to be something different, something we haven't actually seen before. So this is another one I'm kind of looking forward to, and I hope it actually comes out well and marks a huge home run for the medium. The main reason why I feel Mario will be a very big hit is because it's based on arguably the most recognizable video game IP. Like, everybody knows what Mario is, even people that are not into video games. Then it's now being handled by Illumination Studios, who have already delivered some of the biggest juggernauts, hits like Despicable Me, Minions. So I believe the property is in good hands. All they need to do is make sure that it's a great movie, and I'm sure it's going to do very well at box office this year. So even though we've been getting all these solid adaptations that I've just listed, it doesn't mean that the video game curse, as it's called, has totally lifted, because we've actually gotten quite a few stinkers as well. Just recently, we had not one but two terrible Resident Evil adaptations. We had Welcome to Raccoon City, which, while it tried to be very faithful to the source material and tried to adapt the first two games, the storytelling, the acting, everything just fell short. Like, that movie was just awful, for lack of a better word. But as bad as that was, it was still leagues above the recent Netflix Resident Evil series, which was another all-time low for the series as far as I'm concerned. Like, I actually had to tap out after the third episode. Like, I couldn't take it anymore. My main issue with that adaptation wasn't even the fact that it was deviating so heavily from the games. It was just the fact that the basic elements of storytelling were nowhere to be seen. Like, it had unlikable leads. The story wasn't really making much sense. There were a lot of like logic gaps, and I just felt that at this point, video game adaptations have already evolved past all these like mistakes and all these oversights. So that wasn't a particularly very good one. So, but overall, with the way things are currently shaping up with all these recent successes, it's looking like video games could be the next big thing after comic book movies and YA novels. Especially right now that a lot of people are complaining about superhero fatigue, and the Hollywood executives are no doubt looking for the next big thing. So I'm guessing we should be expecting to see the floodgates open for a lot of video game adaptations in the future. We already have a number of them in development, like both Gran Turismo and Twisted Metal for racing fans. So hopefully these particular adaptations are handled very well and they do justice to their source material. So anyway, these are just my thoughts about the current state of video game adaptations. What do you think about the current state of video game adaptations? Like, we've been getting a lot of good video game adaptations. Have you been enjoying them? Which one is your favorite one? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed watching this discussion, and to subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on if you'd like to see more discussions like this in the future. And until the next one, this is Michael, signing off.